Hi folks, welcome to your MWIS Friday Planner in association with Ellis Brigham. A rather changeable weather pattern continues as we go through this weekend into next week. A battle of the air masses going on once again across the British Isles. Some briefly milder air coming in, but never too far away from colder air tucking back in. And it does look as though in the longer range, the colder air will win. We'll start off with a look at the freezing level charts, and this just taking you onwards from late Friday through into the early part of next week. Keep an eye on the date and time at the bottom of the screen. Sub-zero conditions to low levels into this evening and tonight, but we do already see milder air coming in with the next Atlantic frontal system from the west overnight into Saturday morning. So some snow on the leading edge of that across the hills, in some places to lower levels, but then temperatures rising so that by first light in many places it's lifting to or just above freezing point to many high tops. The freezing level in Scotland maybe even as high as 1200 metres for a time, but it comes down again from the west as the next batch of chillier air comes in from the west through the rest of Saturday daytime, so that by the end of the day you're back down to a freezing level of around 800 metres across much of Scotland and nudging into northern England as well. That chillier air is around into Sunday daytime, again hovering around or just below 800 metres as the freezing level may be lifting a little bit across western mountains in Scotland and across Wales towards 900 or 1000 metres through the day. As we go onwards into the start of next week, it's a similar sort of situation for Monday daytime. Again, we're hovering around the 800 metre mark. We do, though, have a rise of temperature coming up from the southwest, again, as the next Atlantic fronts move in, and that producing some hill snow again across northern England, maybe briefly across Wales, but all of that turning to rain as we go onwards into Monday afternoon, evening and night, and progressively that milder air moving northwards into Scotland, never quite making it towards the far north where freezing levels stay down below 800 metres. Some uncertainty just how far north that milder air gets. It's the prospect though for some further significant snowfalls across the Scottish Highlands at this point. Now mild air is across England and Wales and the south of Scotland on Tuesday. It looks like colder air still toward the north. That comes sweeping back round from the northwest as we head onwards into Wednesday. So by the middle of Wednesday it's likely that we're seeing a freezing level back to say between 400 and 600 metres across Scotland, 600 to 800 metres across England and Wales, and likely as we go into the second half of next week that those lower freezing levels extend a bit further southwards. So Thursday into perhaps Friday you're looking at more widely sub-zero conditions above say 400 or 500 metres. So that sets the scene. Let's have a look through the synoptic charts. This is Saturday then. There's that frontal system passing eastwards that we mentioned, with the hill snow turning to rain as it moves through. Once that's gone, we're into a brisk westerly flow and showers coming in maybe frequently and something a bit more organised than showers, giving some more constant precipitation into western Scotland at times through Saturday. That's spilling eastwards at times, and a few areas of showers likely to come in off the Irish Sea into western parts of England and Wales, but somewhat more scattered here for some drier conditions to be around. Just a quick deviation into some weather learning for you. This is the 500 millibar level. Now we often talk about these pressure levels in the videos and they're commonplace in our forecasting. This is up at about 5.5 kilometres up in the atmosphere, so we're dealing with quite a long way above the mountains in this respect. And this chart shows you the temperature values, and at that level it's as low as about -30, which is pretty standard fare for that height in a showery, wintry situation. Now, it's that change of temperature with height that is one of the triggers for the weather type that we see, and when it is a lower temperature at increased height, then with more scope for showery conditions, convective processes, the air rising buoyantly to produce showers. Now it's not a deeply cold air mass that's moving in, it's not deeply unstable, but it has enough of a kick to it to get some of those showers going. If we view that on a vertical profile, again, we've shown these in recent times, so real compare and contrast time for what we looked at if you saw Tuesday's video, when we had a nose of warmer air just above the surface creating that freezing rain situation. Well, look at this chart as a comparison then. We've got a more rapid fall of temperature with height in this situation. The temperature is the red line on this chart going right up to the top of the troposphere, the lower atmosphere. and the dashed line that just appears in the lower reaches just indicates that instability. It shows there's the ability for the air to rise, that then producing the bursts of showery rain and the prospect for some hail mixed in. Now sometimes that dashed line goes way up the chart, and if it does, then we have a deeply unstable situation which would produce extensive hail and the risk of thunder and lightning. But it's not quite as unstable as that at this stage. The 500 millibar level, just referring back to the previous chart, you can see that about halfway up, so that's showing here at about 18,000 feet, and if you trace the temperature lines back down, you do find around -30, so it all does fit together between the vertical profile and the map. Just to show you what happens on the temperature chart then at 500 millibars over the next day or so, you'll see this trough of colder air comes sweeping through. This is Saturday night into early Sunday. That moves away eastwards, and temperatures at this level do just gradually rise as we go through Sunday daytime. Soonest across the southwest of Britain and Ireland, still cold air, all things relative, across northern parts of Britain, across northern Scotland in particular, which is where the showers will continue through Sunday daytime. As we head onwards into Monday, though, we get a ridge of higher pressure and comparatively warmer air, all things relative, because it's a balmy -20 at 500 millibars, but it's all considered that bit milder, and it cuts off the prospect for instability. So any showers, just mostly squibs of things really through Monday daytime around western regions. I'll just roll that on just for interest into the middle of the week, and you'll see how colder air really sweeps back around from a northwesterly source as we go into the middle of the week. So much more colder, unstable, showery conditions back in the forecast once we go beyond the middle of the week. Continuing with the synoptic charts, there's Sunday then, that's the showery westerly that comes into the western side of Scotland. Still could be some frequent precipitation in there coming in on that westerly stream, drier the further east you go, and mostly just 1-2 squibs of showers for the Lake District, mainly dry for Wales with that area of high pressure nearby. Strongest of the winds across the northern half of Scotland. That little ridge of high pressure just builds through on Monday, 1 or 2 bits of showers coming into western Scotland. The next front's moving in from the southwest. Many places a fair day, varied amounts of low cloud, particularly extensive across more western coastal areas, better of the brighter spells further toward the east you go. Tuesday is a really sort of messy, yucky sort of day in many respects, in that it's a mild southwesterly flow that comes in temporarily. That was where we had those rising freezing levels coming through. To the north of the front, though, we have colder air, and that's the prospect for snow across the Highlands through Tuesday. Further south, though, all becoming very wet, extensive low cloud, temperatures above freezing up to the highest tops, and a soggy, unpleasant day in prospect for Tuesday. Strong to gale force, even possibly severe gale force winds across the higher mountains of Wales. Now we're into the colder air mass again by the time we get to Wednesday. Those fronts trailing away and clearing southeastwards. We've got a wraparound of low pressure coming back into Scotland. We're into colder air again by this stage, so some extensive snowfall across the mountains is believable, and that chillier air sinking back southwards into England and Wales as well. So I'm not going to try and get too clever about where we go by the end of next week, but the basic message seems to be a cold one. We're circulating the air around from the north and northwest, some of that air coming around from the north of Scandinavia in its origins. Complicated centres of low pressure may be spinning through the system as well. The prospect for some further extensive snowfalls, at times to low levels, and mountain terrain staying persistently frozen. Hopefully you're able to get a bit of local exercise at the moment, maybe a time for staying within your comfort zone for the time being. That's been your Friday Planner in association with Ellis Brigham. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.